A Singapore-Hong Kong travel bubble will launch on November the 22nd. Daily flights will resume and all forms of travel, including leisure, will be allowed. There will be one dedicated flight a day to each city. The Singapore Airlines or Cathay Pacific flights will carry a maximum of 200 passengers. From the 7th of December, there will be 2 flights a day. There will be no quarantine or stay-home notice on arrival. So here is how it will work if you're traveling from Singapore to Hong Kong. First, you'll need to book your ticket on a designated flight. 7 days before departure, you'll need to apply for approval with immigration authorities. Then take a pre-departure PCR test 72 hours before your flight. An arrival test in Hong Kong must be booked online. Now, once you touch down, a PCR test at the airport could mean a wait of up to 6 hours for the result. If you test negative, you'll be clear to move around freely in Hong Kong. You'll have to get that test again 72 hours before leaving. But if your last test still falls within this time frame, then you can use that result. Now, to re-enter Singapore, you must submit your SG arrival card beforehand. You won't have to take another test when you get here, and neither will Hong Kong visitors. Foreign travellers from Hong Kong must, however, apply for a Singapore Air Travel Pass. They will also have to download the Trace Together contact tracing app and use it throughout their stay.
This road outside of a Changi Airport departure hall used to see a constant stream of travellers dropping off to go inside to catch their flights. And right now it's a much quieter shadow of its former self. And that's why Transport Minister Ong Ye Kung hailed this air travel bubble arrangement as a significant step, because it extends a lifeline not just to the aviation hubs of Singapore and Hong Kong, but also to their respective flag carrier airlines. Mr. Ong says many countries contemplating opening their borders are watching this air travel bubble very closely to see what the results are.
We are quite determined to work hard and make sure that this succeeds, and then it becomes a good reference point. My hope, this is not revealing anything new, any news, but it is my hope that when we are successful with this air travel bubble, hopefully we can trilateralize it, add another member, and maybe quadrilateralize it beyond that. So I think that is then a meaningful bubble.
A segment of Singapore residents hit hardest by the pandemic, however, are excluded from travelling from Singapore to Hong Kong under the ATB. These include work permit and S-Pass holders in the construction, marine shipyard and process sectors. Mr. Ong explains this request was made by Hong Kong authorities because of the high number of COVID-19 cases in foreign worker dormitories earlier this year.
They are worried when we started talking about this, so I think it's an assurance that they needed. But having said that, since the last week of September, the dormitory cases in Singapore has really come down to a very small trickle, and you are seeing 0, 1, 2 cases a day, and many are in fact old cases, up to all the way now in November. But having agreed with this arrangement with Hong Kong, we are starting off not including this group first, but I certainly hope that in our next review we can be more inclusive and include everybody.
Mr. Ong also has a message for those in Hong Kong thinking about flying to Singapore.
希望新加坡會睇到多啲香港人嚟到呢度。我哋一言為定，到時見。
Some flights on the ATB are already sold out, with airlines seeing what they call a healthy response. Online hotel booking platforms also say searches leaped nearly 7 times in the hours after the announcement. Meanwhile, hotels and travel agencies tell CNA they're going to pave the way for tourists with promotions and deals as far as Chinese New Year.
Just hours after details were announced, many have been flocking to look up hotels and flights, and some are already raring to go. Cathay Pacific says it's left with limited seats for the first week, while a check online shows some Singapore Airlines flights on the ATB already sold out. For online hotel booking platforms like Agoda, it's seen a jump of 7 times in the number of related searches. At least one hotel says there's more to come.
Once the first wave of Hong Kong tourists arrive, we anticipate an increase in bookings given the pent-up demand for travel. Currently, we're seeing an increase of inquiries, and there are some bookings coming through.
The hotel also says it'll be rolling out Christmas deals to draw more holiday revelers. But for travel agencies, some tell CNA it's likely that the first few batches of tourists will be families and friends who are not on group tours. Still, some are already thinking of organizing small tours and tying up with clinics to facilitate swab tests at discount rates. For travelers like Sydney Yuan, a university student whose family is in Hong Kong, she's still having second thoughts.
If I do go back to Hong Kong and the travel bubble gets suspended, I'm just scared that I won't be able to come back to Singapore in time for school to start, which is why I feel so hesitant as well. Like the timeline and everything, how will I be able to come back in that situation?
Meantime, local travel operators and hotels also tell us they're now planning events and deals for bubble tourists all the way till Chinese New Year.